Hello, miladies of inestimable value. Some people read books, Sigma females read souls, and they don't even need the author's permission. It sounds poetic, but it's terrifyingly true. Studies in behavioral micro-expression show that less than 1 second of your facial movement can betray what your entire personality is trying to hide. And that's where Sigma females quietly dominate the psychological battlefield. They catch those milliseconds like snipers. You think you're holding a poker face, but to her, it's an open PowerPoint presentation titled, "Everything I'm Trying Not to Admit." She's not psychic, she's just painfully observant. And her silence forces your subconscious to start talking louder than your mouth ever could. While others rely on small talk, she studies micro-truths, those invisible shifts in tone, rhythm and energy that give away people's real motives. It's not magic, it's mastery. And once you realize how she sees the world, you'll understand why pretending around her feels like lying under an X-ray. Because when a Sigma female looks at you, she doesn't look. She reads. Number 1, her mind processes. Micro patterns faster than you can lie. A Sigma female doesn't just listen, she processes. Her brain is wired to scan data most people don't even realize they're giving away. While you're busy trying to look composed or charming, she's already decoding the hidden rhythm of your behavior, the slight pauses, the subtle tightening around your mouth, the way your breathing shifts when you speak about certain things. To her, these aren't random details. They're signals, and she catches them faster than your mask can adjust. You can't outact her because she doesn't respond to what you say. She responds to what your body says while your words are performing. Every blink, every delayed response, every micro-shift in tone becomes evidence. She might seem calm, even detached, but her mind is quietly gathering fragments of truth from everything you leak. And she doesn't need to think hard about it. It's instinctive. Her awareness works like background music. It's always on. The unsettling part is that she usually knows who you are long before you do. She reads micro-patterns in real time, not consciously analyzing them, but feeling the mismatch when your words don't align with your energy. You could tell her you're confident, but if your breath shortens or your voice slightly drops at the end of the sentence, she senses the hesitation hiding behind your confidence. To her, those tiny cracks are louder than your claims. That's why most people feel strangely exposed around her. Not because she's intimidating, but because she notices the details others overlook. And she never announces it. She'll just store what she's learned quietly. It's why she rarely needs second chances to understand someone. She already saw enough in the first conversation. Her brain operates like a human lie detector, but instead of flashing alarms, it files truth away neatly, waiting for the day it'll matter. She doesn't study people to judge them, she studies them to see them, stripped of performance, pretense, and ego. By the time you've finished your story, she's already mapped your motives, fears, and truth patterns. And the strangest part? She won't even need to confront you. Her silence will tell you she knows. And that alone is enough to make most people confess. Number 2, she sees intention before action. A Sigma female doesn't wait for people to reveal who they are. She notices it in the way they move before they even speak. Every action, no matter how small, carries intention, and she's learned to read those signals like a second language. The way someone holds their phone when they're lying, how they walk into a room when they're trying to impress, or the tone they use when they talk to those they consider below them. It all tells her something. She reads the motive before the move, the intention before the act. Her observation isn't cold, it's precise. She studies how people approach, not what they approach with. When someone suddenly becomes overly helpful, she doesn't take it at face value. She studies the why. Her mind picks up the subtle friction between genuine kindness and hidden agenda. Most people miss it because they focus on surface behavior. She focuses on the pulse beneath it, the small shifts in energy that hint at what's about to happen. A Sigma female knows when someone is trying to manipulate her long before they even make their move. That's because manipulation begins with intention, and intention has a scent, an energetic vibration she's learned to detect. There's a tension in your presence, a premature calculation in your eyes, a tone too smooth to be natural. Those things register instantly in her awareness, and by the time you act, she's already 3 steps ahead. What makes her so accurate isn't paranoia. It's pattern memory. Her mind archives every experience, every behavioral rhythm she's ever witnessed. So when she meets someone new, her intuition cross-references those patterns like a database. If you remind her of someone who once betrayed their own motives, she knows the type. She's seen this energy before, and she trusts her read more than your performance. People often mistake her calm for naivety, but that's her shield. She doesn't react to what she sees. She simply takes note. Her quietness disarms people into thinking they've fooled her, when in reality she's already uncovered their plans. That's her mastery. She doesn't wait for intentions to become actions. She sees the future the moment someone starts preparing their lie. Number 3, she doesn't judge you. She understands you too deeply to. A Sigma female's power doesn't come from judgment, it comes from understanding. She sees people so clearly that she doesn't need to categorize them as good or bad. By the time most people are trying to decide whether to trust someone, she already understands why they behave the way they do. Her insight goes beyond surface behavior. She sees the pain, fear, or emptiness driving it. That's why she rarely hates anyone. She just loses interest once she's seen the truth behind the mask. When she looks at you, she doesn't just see your personality. She sees the architecture of your emotions, the cracks, the wiring, the hidden switches. She can sense when your confidence is a defense mechanism, when your humor is a distraction, or when your arrogance is just a shield for insecurity. She doesn't need to expose you, because the moment you realize she's seen through you, the mask begins to fall apart on its own. There's something disarming about being understood that deeply. It strips away the need to perform. That's the quiet threat of her presence. She doesn't argue, she doesn't accuse, and she doesn't chase proof. She simply knows. And that knowing creates a silent pressure that makes pretenders uncomfortable. Some people get defensive around her without realizing why. It's not what she says, it's what her calmness reflects back at them. They can feel their own pretenses cracking in her silence. Her understanding isn't sympathy, it's awareness. She knows when someone is broken and when someone chooses to stay broken. She knows who's playing the victim and who's genuinely wounded. That kind of awareness makes her hard to manipulate, because pity doesn't cloud her logic. She can care deeply without being blind to reality. When people meet her, they often feel seen in a way they didn't know was possible. For some, that's healing, finally being recognized without judgment. For others, it's terrifying, being known without control. That's the paradox of the Sigma female. Her understanding feels like exposure. She doesn't punish, doesn't forgive unnecessarily, and doesn't forget. She just sees, and when she sees you completely, you either evolve or retreat, because pretending around her becomes impossible. Number 4, she interprets chaos as a signature. A Sigma female doesn't need you to explain yourself clearly, and she isn't fooled by perfectly polished facades. Most people spend their lives tidying their words, rehearsing their expressions, and pretending that everything is under control. She doesn't fall for that. She studies the chaos you can't hide, the tiny slips, the nervous laughter, the fidgeting, the way your sentences tumble over each other when you're trying to impress. That's where your authenticity lives, in the unscripted moments you think no one notices. Chaos, to her, is a signature, a map of who you really are beneath the masks you wear. She can read your emotional disarray as easily as someone reads handwriting. A stumble over a word, an inconsistent tone, or a fleeting glance away isn't a flaw to her. It's information. Every little irregularity, every sign of nervous energy becomes a clue to your true patterns. She doesn't judge you for it. She just sees. This ability makes her incredibly hard to mislead. While most people are swayed by charm or clever storytelling, she watches the underlying turbulence that people often try to suppress. Your polished story might make others believe you're confident, competent, or composed, but she notices the tremors in your energy. That tremor tells her more than 1,000 rehearsed sentences ever could. She also understands that chaos is honest in a way order never can be. You can fabricate appearances, but you cannot fabricate the subtle inconsistencies of your behavior when your mind is off script. Those moments reveal your fears, desires, and hidden motives. In her eyes, the perfectly organized act is often the weakest because it's easiest to fake, whereas your spontaneous chaos is uniquely yours. By reading chaos as a signature, she deciphers people on a level that goes far deeper than words or appearances. She understands the patterns behind your unpredictability, the rhythm in your nervousness, and the truth hidden in your scattered energy. To her, chaos doesn't frighten or confuse. It communicates. And once she decodes it, she knows exactly who you are before you've finished trying to define yourself. Number 5. Her emotional intelligence has teeth. A Sigma. Females' emotional intelligence isn't soft or nurturing the way most people imagine it. She doesn't use it to make others feel better or to smooth over conflicts. She uses it as a scalpel. Every subtle reaction, every flicker of emotion, every unguarded micro-expression becomes data she dissects with surgical precision. Her awareness cuts through charm, lies, and performance because she refuses to romanticize human behavior. She sees people as they are, not as she wishes them to be, and that makes her insights uncomfortably accurate. When someone tries to manipulate or exaggerate, she doesn't just notice it, she analyzes it, maps it, and understands the underlying mechanics. She knows why someone is acting a certain way, what insecurities they're hiding, and what impulses are driving their decisions. Pretenders might think they're hiding behind confident words or polished smiles, but she reads the tension in their voice, the shifts in their posture, and the subtle energy leaks that betray their intentions. To her, these aren't minor details. They're the blueprint of truth. Her emotional intelligence has teeth because it leaves an impact without her ever raising her voice. People feel exposed, not because she attacked them, but because she understood them fully, their motives, fears, and contradictions. Most people are startled when confronted with someone who can perceive their entire emotional pattern in silence, and a Sigma female wields that power quietly. She doesn't care about flattering illusions or comforting delusions. She sees patterns that most people would ignore, and she reacts with clarity rather than sentiment. Her intelligence allows her to navigate complex social dynamics effortlessly, identify hidden agendas, and remain steps ahead in understanding motives. In short, her emotional intelligence isn't just awareness, it's precision. It can dismantle deception, expose vulnerabilities, and reveal the truth of human behavior in ways that are impossible to hide from. To encounter a Sigma female who fully engages this ability is to face someone who understands more about you than you realize, and who will never let charm or performance cloud the reality she sees. Number 6. She reads contradictions like scripture. A Sigma female doesn't just hear words, she interprets the spaces between them. She notices when your confidence is performative rather than earned, when your posture is stiff under the weight of insecurity, or when your laughter is a shield-hiding irritation or fear. Every subtle inconsistency registers with her because she understands that human behavior rarely aligns perfectly with intent. Where most people accept appearances at face value, she reads contradictions like scripture, each inconsistency a line of truth written in your energy and actions. When your smile masks surrender or your humor conceals hostility, she doesn't just see it, she understands why it's happening. Those contradictions aren't mistakes to her, they're admissions. You might think you're controlling how she perceives you, but she's already mapping the gap between your presentation and your reality. A confident tone paired with hesitant movements, a casual gesture masking internal tension, or a smooth word spoken over turbulent emotion becomes an open book in her hands. She pays attention to the subtle rhythms of behavior that reveal hidden agendas or concealed emotions. Most people think they can manipulate perception through charm, wit, or forceful displays of self-assurance, but she can sense the energy misalignment instantly. Every contradiction, every clash between action and word is a confession that you can't hide. Even if you don't intend to reveal anything, your body and energy are betraying the truth, and she reads it without judgment, without commentary, but with absolute clarity. This skill makes her extraordinarily hard to mislead. Pretenders who rely on rehearsed stories, polished facades, or exaggerated personalities will always falter under her scrutiny. She isn't searching for deception for the sake of confrontation. She's simply absorbing truth in its rawest form. Her understanding is comprehensive because she doesn't focus on just one aspect of behavior. She observes the whole spectrum, integrating posture, tone, timing, and subtle gestures. Every contradiction she detects is another thread that weaves a complete picture of who you truly are. And once she has that picture, no performance, no act, no carefully constructed persona can obscure the truth she has already seen. She doesn't need words. She understands people in the spaces where words fail. Number 7. She studies your reactions to truth. A Sigma female doesn't just listen to your words. She watches how your body responds when reality hits. When you're presented with a blunt truth, even one you think is harmless, she notices the subtle, involuntary reactions that betray your inner state. The slight flinch of your shoulder, the flicker of your eyes, the subtle catch in your breath. These tiny responses reveal more than anything you could say. Words can be rehearsed, edited, or strategically deployed, but your nervous system doesn't lie. She studies these reactions with precision. Every twitch, every hesitation, every micro-expression is recorded in her mind and decoded. Your attempts to maintain composure or project confidence are transparent to her because the body carries its own language, a language she reads fluently. Even people who consider themselves masters of deception inadvertently expose themselves through these unconscious signals, and she picks up on them instantly. What makes this skill remarkable is how quickly she processes it. While you are caught up in trying to respond appropriately, she has already mapped the truth of your emotional landscape. She doesn't need to confront you about it. She understands it fully in real time. That makes her presence quietly disarming. You might think you're in control of the narrative, but she's already seen the cracks in your armor. Her observation goes beyond simple detection. She interprets meaning. A hesitation might reveal fear, a subtle stiffening might indicate resistance, a fleeting eye movement might betray dishonesty or guilt. She doesn't overanalyze. She synthesizes these signals into an immediate understanding of your genuine response. Being around a Sigma female when truth is presented is like standing in front of a mirror that doesn't lie. Your body confesses even when your mouth doesn't. She doesn't need drama, confrontation, or interrogation to uncover the truth. She simply watches, absorbs, and understands. That quiet mastery over human reactions gives her an almost uncanny ability to perceive people's real intentions, fears, and vulnerabilities long before they choose to reveal them. Number 8. She understands what you don't say about yourself. A Sigma female doesn't just listen to what you say, she listens to what you leave out. When you describe yourself, everyone else hears the story you want them to hear. But she notices the gaps, the details you conveniently omit, the truths you avoid admitting even to yourself. Those omissions aren't empty space to her. They are clues. She instinctively maps them like missing pieces of a puzzle, piecing together the parts of your personality and experience that you're unwilling or unable to share. She understands that who we are is often defined as much by what we don't say as by what we do. Every skipped detail, every vague explanation, and every avoided topic reveals hidden fears, insecurities, or unprocessed emotions. Where most people are distracted by the surface-level narrative, she deciphers the invisible subtext. The gaps in your self-presentation are as telling as your words, because they expose what you're uncomfortable confronting, the messy, vulnerable, or inconvenient truths about yourself. Her perception goes beyond observation, it's integration. She synthesizes what you say with what you omit, creating a complete picture of who you are beneath the masks and performances. She doesn't judge the omissions, she understands their significance. To her, your silence about certain aspects of yourself isn't emptiness. It's information, insight, and context. This ability makes her extraordinarily perceptive. People often think they can control how she sees them by carefully crafting their words, but she's already noticed the blanks. She knows what you're hiding before you say it, and her understanding comes not from confrontation, but from quiet, attentive observation. Those gaps become the framework through which she truly knows you, revealing layers of your personality, motives, and fears that even you may not fully recognize. In her presence, what you leave unsaid speaks louder than any explanation. She doesn't just hear stories. She reads the spaces in between, and those spaces reveal everything. Number 9. She decodes the subtext of ego. A Sigma female doesn't get distracted by the surface show of ego, the loud voice, the exaggerated stories, the subtle hints of superiority. She doesn't need to be impressed. She's already analyzing the why behind it. Every boast, every self-aggrandizing comment isn't just empty words to her. It's a roadmap pointing straight to the insecurities you're desperately trying to hide. While most people hear a brag and either admire it or feel threatened, she sees the vulnerability beneath it. She notices the subtle cues that accompany ego-driven performances, the tension in your posture, the pitch of your voice when you claim achievement, the way your eyes dart for validation. These tiny details reveal the exact insecurities you're attempting to mask. It's never about the accomplishment itself. It's about the emotional gap you're trying to fill. Your ego becomes a neon sign highlighting what you don't want anyone to see, and she reads it effortlessly. Her perception is so acute that she can differentiate between genuine confidence and manufactured superiority. Someone may talk endlessly about their success, but if the energy behind their words feels hollow or forced, she identifies the facade instantly. That hollow energy tells her more than the brag itself. It's the proof of underlying self-doubt. She understands that ego is rarely honest. It's a performance designed to protect, impress, or distract. She also sees patterns in repeated behaviors. The person who constantly elevates themselves in conversations, who subtly undermines others to appear superior, is revealing a consistent insecurity. To her, these patterns are as readable as a diary, and she doesn't need anyone to confess. Their ego does it for them. This ability allows her to navigate social dynamics with precision. She doesn't react emotionally to someone's arrogance. She interprets it, decodes the subtext, and understands exactly what drives them. In her presence, boasting becomes pointless because she's already seen the cracks in the armor. She doesn't just see ego, she understands its roots, its fears, and its motives, and that insight gives her a quiet, undeniable power over human interactions. Number 10. Her mind detects what your words are trying to bury. A Sigma female doesn't just hear what you say, she hears what you don't say. While most people focus on the story you're telling, she tunes into the emotional undercurrent beneath your words. She notices the tiny hesitations, the pauses that seem insignificant, the slight shifts in tone that betray guilt or uncertainty. Those micro-leaks of emotion are impossible to fully control, no matter how careful you are with your sentences. Where ordinary listeners hear noise, she hears the rhythm of your nervous intentions, the hidden currents that reveal what you're trying to conceal. She picks up on inconsistencies that escape most people entirely. A word you stress too hard, a smile that lingers a second too long, a pause before responding. These are the cracks in your verbal armor. You may believe you're presenting a polished version of yourself, but she reads the energy behind your words, the subtle tremor that signals hesitation or dishonesty. It's not intuition or guesswork, it's precise observation of human behavior and emotional leakage. What makes her perception unnerving is that it's effortless. She doesn't have to analyze consciously, she naturally tunes into patterns of incongruence. Your attempt to control the narrative, to seem confident, or to hide vulnerability, actually provides her with more information. Every carefully constructed sentence is like a breadcrumb leading straight to the truth. She also understands context. The same tone or pause can mean completely different things depending on the situation, and she instinctively reads that nuance. She sees not just what you're trying to hide, but why you're hiding it. Your fears, insecurities, and underlying motives become obvious to her because she's listening at a level most people don't even know exists. Being around a Sigma female in conversation is like speaking in a room with mirrors that don't lie. You might think you're in control of what she sees, but she's already detected the unspoken, analyzed it, and stored it. She doesn't need confrontation to understand. She simply perceives the truth that slips past your conscious control. Number 11. She reads memory like a map. A Sigma female doesn't just listen to the words you speak. She observes the way your mind navigates memory. When you tell a story, she watches the subtle movements of your eyes, the flicker to the left or the glance upward, the tiny shifts that indicate whether you're genuinely recalling an experience or piecing together a narrative on the spot. Those micro-movements aren't random to her. They are signals, coordinates on the map of your mind that reveal the origin of your words. Her brain tracks these cues with the precision of a forensic investigator. Every hesitation, every glance, every rhythm of speech is catalogued and cross-referenced against other patterns she's observed. She notices inconsistencies between stories, the parts of your memory that seem rehearsed versus the ones that flow naturally, and she integrates all of this into a silent understanding of your truth. Where most people hear a story and accept it at face value, she reads the invisible threads that tie your words to reality or expose their fabrication. This skill makes deception extraordinarily difficult around her. You might think your embellishments or selective recollections are subtle enough to pass unnoticed, but she notices the micro-signals that betray the construction of fiction. The way you pause before a detail, the slight overemphasis on certain events, or the way your eyes avoid a direct focus. All of it becomes evidence she quietly interprets. She doesn't confront you immediately. She simply stores it, connecting it to the broader pattern of your behavior and past statements. Her perception isn't judgmental, it's analytical. She doesn't need to call out lies to understand them. She internalizes the information, building a map of your memory and your truthfulness. Every story, every account, every recollection you share is data, and her mind decodes it faster and more accurately than most people can process. Being around her is like speaking to someone with access to the blueprint of your mind. Even unintentional slips become visible to her, and by observing the way you recall events, she pieces together the underlying reality, whether you intend to reveal it or not. Her ability to read memory as a map makes her a master of understanding people on a level few can even comprehend. Number 12. Her detachment lets her see what emotional people miss. A Sigma. Female's detachment is not indifference, it's clarity. She doesn't get swept up in charm, flattery, or the drama that entangles most people. While others are busy reacting emotionally, she observes from a distance, and that distance gives her an unmatched perspective. She sees patterns that escape everyone else, the subtle repetitions in behavior, the hidden triggers in conversation, the inconsistencies that reveal someone's true motives. Because she's not entangled, her mind doesn't blur under sentiment or impulse. This detachment allows her to notice the rhythm of human behavior with almost scientific precision. Where emotional people react, judge, or empathize prematurely, she watches the patterns form over time, connecting seemingly unrelated actions into a coherent map of who someone really is. The little things, a fleeting glance, a pause before speaking, a shift in tone, aren't random to her. They are the markers of intention and emotion, forming constellations that reveal the inner landscape of a person's psyche. Her clarity makes her extraordinarily hard to manipulate. Most people rely on surface-level charm, pity, or appeals to emotion to influence others, but she sees beyond all of that. She understands what motivates people, what fears drive them, and what insecurities they try to hide. That understanding doesn't make her reactive, it makes her strategic. She absorbs information without letting it affect her equilibrium, which gives her a psychological advantage in almost every interaction. Because she stands outside the emotional fog, she can identify truth in a way few others can. Emotional entanglement clouds judgment and perception, but her detachment acts as a lens that sharpens her vision. She doesn't need to probe aggressively or ask direct questions. She perceives patterns, connects dots, and anticipates behavior simply by remaining observant and emotionally uncommitted. Her detachment is not coldness, it's a form of intelligence. It allows her to move through social situations with precision and insight, understanding more than most people even realize exists. While others are lost in surface reactions, she sees the underlying structure of human behavior clearly, effortlessly, and without bias. That is why people often feel exposed or unsettled in her presence. She sees what they themselves cannot. The truth about Sigma females is that their power doesn't come from force, loudness, or attention. It comes from perception, a perception so deep, precise, and unyielding that it strips away pretense, exposes hidden motives, and reveals truths most people don't even admit to themselves. Every glance, every pause, every micro-expression is a piece of a puzzle she deciphers effortlessly. While the world chases surface appearances, she thrives in the subtleties, reading energy, intention, and hidden fears with unmatched clarity. She doesn't need to confront, argue, or dominate to hold power. Her presence alone is enough to illuminate the cracks in your performance, to make your hidden truths surface without a single word. She operates silently, yet the impact of her understanding is seismic. People around her may feel unnerved, exposed, or even mesmerized, but she remains untouched, calm, and in control. A master of psychological insight who moves through life observing what others cannot. Interacting with a Sigma female is a lesson in authenticity. She forces reflection, challenges illusions, and compels those around her to face themselves. Her ability to read intentions, decode contradictions, and sense the unspoken is not just rare, it's extraordinary. She doesn't just see people, she sees through them to the very core of who they are. And that is what makes her presence unforgettable, her insight unparalleled, and her influence quietly unstoppable. If this fascinated you, and you want to uncover more about the mind, power, and dynamics of Sigma females, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this video with anyone who needs to understand the extraordinary depth and clarity of a Sigma female. Every interaction with her is a lesson in perception. And now you've taken the first step in seeing the world a little more like she does.